The following program is an exclusive presentation of the Tiger Sports and Entertainment Network. You are watching TSEN.
Welcome to the 2022 edition of Tiger Sports and Entertainment Network. This trimester, TSEN has had the opportunity to produce the holiday band and choir concerts, along with basketball games and wrestling matches.
Our crew has operated cameras, captured instant replay shots, announced play-by-play commentary for the games, choreographed miles upon miles of BNC and XLR cable, and have directed the events using our HD TriCaster system.
All of these elements are a part of our live sports broadcasting class, where students are actively being involved in being the team that brings you the action to your television screen.
We are very proud of all the work that we have done this trimester. During our show today, we'll be bringing you our individual projects that we have been working on during the trimester.
First off today, during his years with the FHS band, junior tuba player Jace Prosser has accomplished a great amount of feats. Ashton Somm spoke with not only Jace, but also some of the people Jace is typically around regarding Jace's band career. Let's take a closer look.
Here at FHS, the band provides great entertainment and great energy to school events, and I was able to learn more about a prominent figure within the band, Jace Prosser, who is a part of many different bands within the school and outside of school, including Wind Ensemble, Jazz One, Marching Band, and All-State. And at a young age, band appealed to Jace.
Fourth grade, I remember coming to the high school for the fourth grade demo that the band does, and they introduced all the instruments, and I thought it looked fun.
Although Jace began with one instrument, he eventually learned how to play more and thoroughly enjoyed doing so.
So in fifth grade, I started on the euphonium, and then in seventh grade, I believe, in jazz band, euphoniums aren't a standard jazz instrument, so I learned the trombone because that is a jazz instrument. And then I remember the high school band students coming in and talking to us, and they said they needed more tubas for marching band. And that interested me to play the tuba because it gave me another reason to learn a fun instrument. So I made the switch to tuba.
Jack Sostrand was about to be a sophomore when he met Jace during the marching band season, and Jack reflected on how Jace performed then and now.
So at the beginning he was strong, but I obviously kind of could tell where he was in terms of age, and since then I've seen him grow into now what I'd consider to be one of the better tubas I know.
Director of bands, Miss Holmes, praised Jace for his talent, but allowed him to choose what instruments he wanted to proceed with.
The two instruments that he's super good at are ones that we always will need in any sort of program, and so it was hard to pick and choose, but ultimately I want my students to be happy.
Jace enjoys being in band and has many reasons as to why, but he has one reason that really stands out to him.
Well, one of my favorite things about band is pep band and marching band because it's one of the ensembles that I really get to play loud in. We get to have a lot of fun in band, and that's why I enjoy it so much.
And Jack also enjoyed marching band, but for different reasons.
Even when I went here in marching band, it was always really fun to play with him. He's a great guy.
Jace has had many accomplishments when it comes to his band career, but in 2021, Jace was accepted into All-State, but not without difficulty, doubt, and perseverance on his behalf. But once he discussed with Ms. Holmes, who gave him confidence, he proceeded with his audition.
All-State is basically the best instrumentalists of high school students in the state.
I remember him telling me, he's like, I'm not gonna do this. I'm not ready, I can't do this, I'm not gonna do this. And I said, wrong. You are auditioning for All-State, and it doesn't matter if you make it or not, it's all about the process and the learning, and we're gonna finish this process. And then we found out his results a few months later, and he got in, and I was like, see, I told you. So that's one of my favorite things, because even with a kid that's so confident and talented, we all have doubts in our life. And even though he had those doubts, he still pushed through. He didn't give up. I mean, he was ready to, but he needed that a little bit of encouragement, and he rolled with it and trusted himself to step it up. So I'm very proud of him.
Jace learned a lot from many older members of the band, but Jace Sterner and Jack Sostrand were the two he learned from the most.
They were massive influences on me. Jace was the one that got me to play loud and develop my volume, and Jack was the one that was able to develop my technical side as well as my tone.
And Jack spoke of the potential he saw in Jace when Jace was growing as a tuba player.
He had only played the tuba for a very short while, and he was already a strong player. And I knew from that moment on he had a very strong work ethic and a desire to get better.
All of the band members have their own memorable moments, but sophomore Ian Noss had one specific memory and it involved Jace.
One of my favorite was when we found out how well we did at our youth and music competition.
Jace spoke about his and Ian's experiences at youth and music.
It was such a long day. We were there from probably 10 a.m. to, I probably didn't get home till midnight. So it was just a really long day. We got to do a lot of fun stuff. We got to hang out with each other. We got to see a lot of other bands, especially placing first. That was one of the highlights of that day.
Jace has helped and influenced many that he is around, and Miss Holmes spoke on how he does so.
He's such a little Pied Piper to get people to be excited about what they're doing and they're passionate, and it doesn't matter their talent level, he just makes them feel really good about where they're at and where they could go.
Ian was one of those students Miss Holmes described that Jace helped.
Freshman year when I came in, I hadn't known tuba, so just being in a new environment, he helped me a lot with my tone, but also with how loud I could play and just all my rhythms. So he's really been a big help, and it's just been fun to work with him.
But Jace hasn't only influenced those younger than him, because Jack felt that Jace influenced him too.
Part of my desire to get better comes from him and his work ethic, and partly because of him, I'm now going for a leadership position in the University of Minnesota Marching Band.
When asked about his future, Jace is certain that he wants music to be a part of it.
I know for sure that I want music to be part of my life. It's just such an important thing right now that I feel like it definitely has to carry on in my future.
Ms. Holmes spoke about what legacy means to the program and how Jace will impact the band community after he graduates.
And he's showing like the legacy that we always aspire to achieve around here, and that's really neat. So it stems from the legacy from before, and he's going to be that person going down the road for other kids as well. And so often we don't know the impact that we make on others, but Jace is leaving a positive one, that's for sure.
After all, Jace just wants to positively influence those who can learn from him and hopes the positive influence between students continues for future years of the FHS band program.
One of the big things is I just want to be a good influence on my section mates, and what I've taught them, I want them to be able to teach other future tuba players.
Reporting for TSCN, I'm Ashton Somm.
In Farmington's woodworking class, you're able to make boxes, step stools, coffee tables, or anything that sparks your interest. Ryan Steffes followed senior woodworker Parker Lego on his experiences in the woodshop and what makes a great woodshop project, along with what makes this class such a great experience for him.
I feel like it's a great skill everybody should learn, and it's a very interesting thing, and it's an interesting topic. You know, it's pretty fun too. Once you get the hang of it, it's just very easy.
When asked what interests him the most about woodworking, Parker had this to say.
What interests me the most about woodworking is getting to know the exact measurements to make it perfect, and then putting it all together.
Parker responded about if he had a future in woodworking.
Yeah, I was trying to go to college for that. That's something I really want to pursue in my career. Just want to be maybe a teacher for woodworking. That'd be pretty awesome.
Parker was then asked what made him such a special woodworker.
Some things are I'm very precise on my measurements, my cuts. I like to take my time on each cut to make it perfect. I usually take a lot of time at home to study all the measurements and what I have to do the next day before coming in. So I know my plan every single time what I'm going to do. I like to motivate people and tell them that they're doing good, and I like to help them if they have any questions. I'm just there to help and let the people that are new get them more interested and more excited about coming in here. I would keep motivating them to keep coming in after school, getting those extra hours in.
Parker was asked what got him started into woodworking.
Something that made me start to liking woodworking is I've watched videos when I was a little kid about woodworking, finding using the different saws. Like my dad had a shop in the garage and I just help him out. Like I saw this course, like when I went into high school, I saw this course and I was like, you know what, I should try it. And then I just fell in love with it.
Parker was asked about some of the challenges when getting into woodworking.
Some of the hardest parts about woodworking is like just taking your time. Like if you like rush, you could mess up. It'd be a very bad thing because each cut has to be perfect. Just, like slow down and you don't need to be the first person done, which what Mr. Elbelbach said, and that really like motivated me to keep working, like taking my time, like slowing down and not rushing.
Finally, Parker was asked how he can express himself creatively through woodworking.
And you can like pick different coat, like different wood. Like I picked the oak for this coffee table. And like I'm just gonna pick this. You can pick the stain and like pick what glass you want. It's like there's a lot of different options. And like I really like choosing what I want to do and like what I like.
This has been Ryan Steffes reporting for TSCN.
The Farmington cheer team is an intricate part to bringing the energy at sporting events. Aaron Feit sat down with varsity cheer captain Annika Harries to show how much work goes into the cheer season.
Annika Harries is a varsity cheer captain with the Farmington Tigers. I got a chance to sit down with her and discuss Farmington cheer.
My history with Farmington cheer is I've been cheering since I was a freshman in the fall season. So I've been on varsity since freshman year and cheering fall and winter seasons, except for winter season of junior year.
One of the best parts about cheer is the community within the team.
The community is like any other prep sports team that there is. There's highs and lows in the community, but as a whole, it's nice to have people that you know you can talk to.
The community normally is very upbeat, unless we're tumbling, of course, but I mean, normally the community's upbeat and we're all pretty close, I'd say, so.
Trinity is another cheerleader with Annika Harries on the varsity cheer team.
5 seasons, so 2.5 years I've been in cheer with Annika. Annika's very like peppy, upbeat, and she just has a lot of energy. Brings like a fun atmosphere. My favorite memory with Annika at cheer definitely has to be learning to stunt with her. It was a learning curve, definitely, from going from JV to varsity, and I just thought that it was really fun.
Annika also talks about her favorite and most fun parts of cheer.
The most fun part of cheer has probably been the community and being able to cheer with the same people since like freshman year and having a great environment to go to. Life lessons I've learned from cheer is to just go with it, that there is going to be hard times and there's going to be good times, but you just kind of have to keep going with it, even if you get hit in the face by a foot a few times.
Annika talks about her other interests outside of cheer.
My other interests outside of cheer are choir. I enjoy working out, going to church, and helping in the kids' ministry. My favorite part of cheering is being able to go to the football games and being able to be a part of the football games and not just being in the stands all the time.
This is Aaron Feit reporting for TSCN.
Rucken is a Farmington freshman baseball player who is defying the odds. He plays with only one hand and is one of the best one-handed baseball players in the state. To live primarily only using one hand is hard enough, but playing a sport with one hand is even harder. Keaton Nelson brings us the story behind how he plays baseball.
This is Ryken Sosinski, and he's just like everybody else. He plays guitar, electric, and acoustic. He eats, he sleeps, and he even plays baseball. But there's only one thing that sets him apart from us, and he has
hemiplegic cerebral palsy.
But that doesn't stop him from doing what he loves most. He now explains what it's like to be what there aren't very many of, a one-handed baseball player.
Well, it's an interesting experience because a lot of people get confused, and a lot of people wouldn't quite know how to react. And some people, you know, kind of ask me how does it feel, and I just tell them it's playing baseball, but, you know, I just use my left hand. There's not much of a difference there.
He obviously does things different than you and me, so I asked him how he holds his controller when he gets those Fortnite dubs.
Well, I usually use it with one hand, where I have one hand hold it, as kind of like a stabilizer, and the other one, because I have huge hands, kind of kind of like, do all the work. And it's pretty interesting. Sometimes I'll use both hands, but for the most part, I just use one.
I don't know about you, but I was really curious what he thought he was best at, so I asked him, and he told me this.
Well, I find it ironically, to be just fielding in general, my throwing, my catching, because, well, I kind of have this history of, putting a lot more effort into things I feel like I need more effort in. So that's what I did. I put a lot more effort into stuff like fielding, throwing, and that's where I think my biggest strengths come in.
His lifelong teammate now explains what it's like to play with a one-handed baseball player, what the challenges are, and who he is as a teammate.
My name's Charlie. I play center field. And what's it like to play with a one-handed baseball player? It takes a lot more teamwork than you would think. And it's different overall. A little bit harder, but it makes it more fun and more challenging. But he can't really get the ball in fast, so what he'll usually do is flip me the ball, and then I get to throw it in. He's energetic. He always knows how to pump you up, even if you strike out or you make a bad mistake. He just always knows how to put you in the right mood to get you to go make that next play.
Hemiplegic cerebral palsy affected one side of his body and how he handles things. He now explains the mechanics of batting and shows us the struggle of fielding.
Well, batting is pretty simple. I bat like everybody else. I use both my hands, despite having hemiplegic cerebral palsy, which is weakness on one side, which is my right. So despite that, I still bat with two hands, but when I catch, I have a glove which has like holes for webbing. And so I put my finger through one of the holes to kind of get like a grip on my glove, take the ball out of my glove, and then I throw it.
This is Keaton Nelson, signing off for TSEN.
Whether it's summer, winter, spring, or fall, some people find the time to do what they love, biking. This week on TSEN, Peyton Topol interviewed Caden Anderson, a motivated 7th grader, and his biking season.
The biker on the right is Caden Anderson. He is a 7th grade biker. Caden explains how he got the bug for biking early.
When I was a little kid in like 2016, I got my first bike, and I actually practiced on my neighbor's bike, and I kind of stole it. Well, not really stole it, I borrowed it, and then he caught me. And then I was just obsessed with my bike then. I just kept practicing until I was like 8 years old. And then I got a better bike. And then when I was like 10, I went into my first season of mountain biking. And then I liked that season, so I started doing it year after year. And 2 years later, I'm finished with my third year of mountain biking, and I've done races at Mankato and Detroit Mountain and a lot of other places. So I say I really like it.
Caden can practice a lot with biking. He explains where his favorite places to practice are.
I can practice around my neighborhood, go for a couple mile loops. I also, in my bike team, we went to Lebanon Hills, St. Murphy or Murphy Park, whatever, Marion, but I say it's pretty fun and engaging.
Each race, there's a certain amount of miles that each race has set for. Caden explains how many miles he does in a race.
I do probably 2 to 3. But when I get older, I'm gonna do a couple more laps, so maybe like 7 or 8 in each race.
Falling is a part of biking. Caden describes what he did after he fell in his very first race.
My first race, someone bumped into my tire. I fell down with him, and then another biker, we hit his back wheel. He went down too. But then, for some reason, another biker, that makes like 4 of us, he fell too, and it made a whole huge mess. But I just quickly got up and started pacing myself up the hill because it was my first race, and I did not want to not try. I felt like trying, but I knew never to give up, and I just kept working harder to get up in the placement.
Caden is a very young biker who has a lot of potential. He explains what his future goals for biking are.
Actually going for getting a high place in race. in a race, because if I do that, I feel like all my work done as a younger kid paid off, and I felt like I would just do very well the next race too.
This is Peyton Topol from TSEN.
Nice job, guys!
Here at Farmington High School, the music department has 3 jazz bands. This week on TSCN, Cale Thompson interviewed saxophone player Quinn Anderson, who is striving to perform his very best in the Farmington Jazz Band.
Quinn Anderson is a freshman at Farmington High School who is in band. When asked about when he joined band, this is what he had to say.
I started playing band in the fall of 6th grade, and my mom kind of inspired me because she played band in high school. The best part of being in a band has got to be the concerts at the end of the trimester. I really like the concerts because it shows all the new music that you've got from the beginning of the tri and how much time you spent to learn this music and kind of perfect it.
Here's the biggest thing Quinn takes away from band.
I think the biggest thing that I can take away from being in a band is that just taking a couple pieces of sheet music and turning them into quality pieces, really focusing on the notes on them and perfecting them, and then doing well in a concert really brings out that you worked hard and that you showed that you can play well.
Here are Quinn's thoughts on teamwork in band.
I feel like teamwork does kind of come in play when you're in a band. Every instrument has their part in music, and they have to play the part well to make all the other parts blend well and make the music sound good. Some other activities that I do outside of school, I like playing sports with my friends, hanging out with my friends kind of, and working out.
Quinn's brother talks about what it's like to have a brother in band.
It is really cool having a brother be in band, and he inspires me to play my instrument, and I can't wait to be part of his band.
I asked Quinn if he thought of incorporating band in his life as he grows up.
Honestly, incorporating band into my future is just going to depend on what happens. I really like music and band right now, and we're just going to see how it takes me throughout the high school career.
Whether he uses band or music or not, as he grows up, it will not change the fact that Quinn Anderson was a great saxophone player. This has been Cale Thompson reporting for TSEN.
Band is a part of Farmington High School that everyone enjoys. Whether you're watching the band from the stands or actually playing an instrument at a football game, everyone is affected by music. Joshua Christensen sat down this week for an interview with band member Dante Mulkey.
For those of you who don't know, this is Dante Mulkey. He is a junior here at Farmington High School, and he is also a part of the FHS band, where he plays 2 instruments.
I play trombone as a primary instrument, and I play baritone. One of my most greater experiences was probably my freshman year when I first went here, obviously. We had a show called Dream Space, and me being a freshman, I thought marching band was going to be like all serious, like no fun. It was actually the complete opposite, and I remember like during the week of band camp, it was like the hardest week of like the season supposedly, but it was probably the most fun I've ever had. It was really fun, great experiences with a ton of people, and yeah.
Now Dante is going to talk about a few of his favorite songs to play.
I don't really have an exact favorite like theme, but I know I have definitely like a ton of favorite songs. I'll name off like, I guess 3. One would have to be probably the Dream Space show. They're all like different themes, but they're all categorized under like Dream Space, so I guess I'm just gonna have to go with that as the name. I loved that. That was very fun, very like themed for the show. Another song I like was, or like songs I like was like 1718, which was our last season that we just went through. Loved the music for that. It was just amazing. And then a favorite piece would either have to be Havana Nights by Randall Sandridge, or it would be Minor Alterations.
Those were a few of Dante's favorite songs. Here is some advice Dante has to anyone who is just joining or thinking about joining band.
I would say give it time. Whatever instrument you're playing, every instrument is basically the hardest instrument you'll learn because it's your first time learning it. And as long as you stick with it, it gets more and more fun as time goes on. Like, I know for me, in middle school, I played the baritone the whole time. I had fun with it, but it was always a big struggle learning it. So when I picked up trombone and also I played baritone for like pep bands and whatnot, it became really fun. In middle school it was like the hardest time, and now in high school it's like the most fun time I've ever had.
This is Joshua Christensen reporting for TSEN.
The Farmington football team had an amazing season, and the team grew exponentially on their skills to be a threat in the South Suburban Conference. Ben Burns reports this week on Jeffrey Branson, a sophomore running back for Farmington High School.
Today I interviewed Jeffrey Branson, a Farmington High School running back. As of right now, Jeffrey is the 21st ranked running back in Minnesota. I first asked Jeffrey how he was feeling about possibly starting next season.
Really big responsibility to take on, coming after Rod, 1,000-yard rusher, but I think I'll be able to live up to the challenge.
I then asked Jeffrey what he does to prepare for his games.
Lifting, got a lot of eating, got to stay big. A lot of cardio, probably some track.
I was wondering what other sports that Jeffrey plays to get better at football.
I'm going to be doing track this year for the first time, probably some sprints. I'll try to do some long distance, but I don't know how that's going to work out.
Then asked Jeff to talk about his favorite football memory.
Favorite football memory is probably when we played in the US Bank Stadium back in 7th grade. We lost that game, but I think it was still a fun experience.
Jeffrey talks about his favorite football player of all time and how he tries to model his game after him.
There's a lot of greats out there that, I really admire, but if I had to pick one, had to be Walter Payton, just because of his versatility and the way he runs. I really wanted to shape my running style like him.
He talks about what kind of nutrition he needs to perform on a high level.
I really like the protein, so steak, rice, eggs, stuff like that, and maybe a big bowl of ramen.
I asked him what he does outside of school and football to relax.
I just like to play game, friends and family, and just work on my craft, lifting, all of that stuff.
I then asked Jeffrey what kind of music he listens to before his games.
Right now, I'd have to go with Bruno Mars. Yeah, I think he's been coming out with some nice music.
Next, Jeffrey talks about his favorite holidays.
I'd have to go with Thanksgiving, Christmas, and probably Halloween.
Jeffrey is an amazing football player, and I can't wait to watch him play next season. Thank you for listening. This has been Ben Burns reporting for TSEN.
Have you ever wanted to expand your knowledge of science? Well, Ian Holt spent some time with the Science Olympiads during the trimester to bring you the latest on their project.
Science Olympiad is a group here at FHS and all over the state, where budding scientists go to test the limits of our knowledge. Led by Mr. Wells and Mr. Cohorst, students explore the wild world of science. I sat down for a chat with Science Olympiad veteran Connor Watson and got his thoughts on the future of this program.
Well, I've been doing Science Olympiad for 4 years now. I joined it when I was a freshman. It's a really fun club if you want to explore a lot of different types of science. There's an event for pretty much every different type of science: physics, biology, chemistry, all that type of stuff.
What kinds of events do you specialize in?
Me personally, I like doing the build events, where my main event that I'm really good at is called Gravity Vehicle. We have to build this vehicle to go down a ramp and stop at a very specific distance.
How do you feel about the future of this program?
I'm pretty excited. This year we talked about creating a shared drive so we could have notes from past years and continue to build that up and leave a legacy for kids to come in the future. So I feel like it's pretty bright for the Science Olympiad team in the future.
How could Science Olympiad affect your future careers?
It improves your career and jobs and stuff because you get to learn about all these different types of science, do all these events, and you learn a lot from it. I've learned so much just from doing Science Olympiad that's definitely going to help me out in the future if I want to like branch out into like different careers than like what I really want to do.
Why might somebody be interested in this particular program?
A great way to explore like your interests and explore science in general and like become like just a better person. And the team is also like a really fun community to be around.
I asked another Science Olympiad veteran, Michael Newman, about why you should join Science Olympiad.
If you like science, you should join. If you just have an interest in science, you don't even have to be that good at it. You just do it for fun, man. It's fun. Oh, we just hang out, basically.
As you can see, Science Olympiad is a great extracurricular activity for just about anyone. This is Ian Holt, reporting for TSEN.
Logan Fontaine has been bowling for many years. His skill level was outstanding and he has taken many awards for his skill as a bowler. This week, Leo Soseski had the chance to sit down with Logan at the Farmington Bowling Alley to find out more about his future career.
Logan Fontaine is the 47th ranked bowler in the state of Minnesota as a sophomore. He averages 245 per game. Logan reminisces over some of his best games.
Probably 300, and I've also had like a 299, and today my best score was about 185, but my hand was really hurting from yesterday.
Logan has bowled so many great games that friends and teammates of his cannot even begin to explain his immense talent.
I think he's really good. He's ranked 47th in the state and should be higher. I've seen him bowl at 300 multiple times, and he's got great potential.
He's a great bowler. I've bowled with him multiple times, and he's beaten me every single time. But he gets a strike like every single time, and he's just accomplished a lot as a bowler.
Logan wasn't always a competitive bowler. He started at the end of middle school, but wasn't always as good as he is now. Logan explained his experience switching from the sport of football to bowling.
And I didn't really want to play football. Well, I played it for the last year in 8th grade, and then I switched after that to go do bowling. I was doing bowling actually in 8th grade too, but I just switched over because I like bowling a lot more, and I'm a lot better at bowling than football.
So in 8th grade, I saw him quit football and he went over to bowling, and I was actually the one person to teach him how to bowl with 2 hands. And he's gotten a lot better. He can definitely beat me now, and he's definitely one of the best in Farmington.
Because bowling is what I could be making money off and getting scholarship money and stuff like that, but football you would have to be like 6'5" and 250 pounds to get a good scholarship to a good college, but bowling is what I want to do, and yeah.
Within a year of Logan starting bowling, he was ranked top 100 in the state.
Logan is clearly an elite high school bowler. His talent is unmatched. His pure skill and love for bowling is the reason for his success. As he explained, he has had a lot of ups and downs, not just for him, but for his team as well.
I've been bowling for about 3 years now, and I've been doing youth bowling. Started up with high school bowling, and I taught some kids on how to 2-hand bowl, which is pretty cool. They're getting a lot better, but I'm the best bowler in the league. Well, not for high school, but I also bowl for high school, and we won the conference last year for the Metro, the South Metro area, and then we versed a lot of kids over at the state bowling and stuff like that, but we lost that. We came in like 7th place. Next year, we'll probably win it.
Logan is arguably the greatest contributor to his team. His stats show that.
I was the best player on there. I had like probably like 10 opens in the whole thing and probably like 30 strikes, so that's pretty good. And I probably had like around 50 spares, so I was 47th in the state of bowling, so that's pretty good.
Logan's accomplishments are unparalleled for his age. He still has 2 more years of high school bowling to continue to improve, but that doesn't mean he isn't planning for the future. Logan explained that he wanted to become a Marine and later a professional bowler.
The Marines, but probably after the Professional Bowlers Association, the PBA. But the Marines is what I want to do after high school, and then right now I'm actually training to become a Marine. I'm working out with the Marines and stuff, which is pretty cool. I'm the youngest person there. All these other kids are around 17, 18 years old, about to be graduating from high school in about 5 months, and I don't know, the Marines is just what I want to do, and then after I complete high school, I'll be going to training for 13 weeks.
Logan has clearly shown his determination. Leo Soseski reporting for TSCN. Richie Olson's a player on the 10th grade basketball team. Hayden Desner recently had the immense privilege to speak with Richie about his basketball season.
Richie Olson is a Farmington basketball player who has enjoyed the sport from an early age.
I started playing basketball in kindergarten, and I rate the experience as super fun. It's always a good experience, and I love getting out on the court and playing basketball.
Starting basketball at an early age has given Richie more opportunities than other athletes. Determination on the court to be a leader has helped them to deal with wins and losses.
I don't know, I think about how to improve for the next game and how I can make a difference to help my team win.
Teammate Andrew Crisp has been playing basketball with Richie for many years and talks about his connection with Richie.
I met him in middle school. I was in the same TC as him, and I first played basketball with him around the same time.
Sometimes the team struggles to win games, whether it's hustling or performance, and Richie describes a moment where the team was challenged in this way.
Well, against Rosemont, we lost our game, and he made us run a bunch the next day because we weren't hustling enough during that game.
Playing as a team has ups and downs. The team wins together, the team loses together. Teammate Andrew Crisp describes Richie's pickup game playing ability.
He plays pretty good. From what I've seen in pickup games, he's had a pretty good paint game and finishing.
Richie has a great paint game and warms up with great music. Not only is music important to the pregame warm-up, but energizing through his pregame foods.
The music I listen to, I always listen to metal. That's my thing. I love it. Pregame food, I always got to get a protein bar in, keep me energized and full. Because if we have a bus ride or something, it'll tide me over till the end of the game when we get Subway in an away game, or I get to go home and eat dinner.
Richie's teammates say that he's a great leader on and off the court. He's never late for practice, always hustling, and always listening during practice. Richie's coach says Richie is the top worker on the team and never gives up on drills no matter how difficult they may seem. Reporting for TSCN, I'm Hayden Desner. The Farmington wrestling team has a storied past and exciting future. This week, Riken Sosinski brings us a story about one of Farmington's most exciting wrestlers, Kolhan Lindemeyer.
This is Kolhan Lindemeyer, a sophomore on the Farmington varsity wrestling team. He weighs 170 pounds. He has a record of 67-7. He has 24 pins, 25 techs, and 7 majors. I asked Cole who inspires him.
I really like to wrestle, but my inspiration, I guess, it's kind of weird, but it's Rock Lee from Naruto.
He explains in greater detail about how this character inspires him.
He really inspires me because he doesn't have a lot of natural talent, and through just a bunch of hard work and perseverance, he becomes super strong, and I really respect that.
His teammate explains what he thinks about Cole's future.
He has a lot of potential for the rest of high school. He's only a sophomore, so he's a really good athlete.
He explains how he got into wrestling.
I'm gonna be honest, I don't know. I think it was my dad. He just kind of signed me up for it one day, and I saw that my older brother was doing it, and I'm like, that looks kind of cool. I look up to my older brother.
How his coaches feel about Cole's future.
Cole has a very bright future. He has a work ethic that is unlike any other person or person that's gone through our program. We've had a few, but the ones that are like Cole are the ones that really excel when it comes to not just leaving high school, going to college, but then beyond college. They just have that little extra drive, a little extra motivation that some people don't have, that really helps them be successful at whatever they decide to become.
Cole talks about his future in wrestling.
I'm really excited for it. I don't really know what will be of it. My plans are to go to college, wrestle in college, but I don't really know. I'm really excited for it, but yeah.
We've seen what he's capable at this age. I am very excited about his future. Riken Sosinski, signing off for TSCN.
Next up, Hassan Taylor Ortega had a chance to take a look back at one of our own TSCN instructors and his experiences in the media arts and sports.
So we edit and film in lots of different
what they call codex, and one of the students is doing a piece on a sophomore basketball player, and he didn't film any B-roll, but he was able to access some from the team's huddle, and and some of it's amateur video. But I said I'll try to convert it for him so he can be successful.
This is Mr. Mathis. He's the video production teacher alongside Mr. Tauchi. Together they have been teaching at Farmington for 11 years. He picked up his first camera at a very young age, and I asked him to relive his first experience with one.
I would say my parents had a film camera, and I was probably 12 or 13. Really got into that kind of stuff. And I picked up this film camera. I didn't know what I was doing. It's film. You know, it's not like a video camera. But they gave me a film cartridge, and back then film was very expensive to process. I think it was a high 8 was the format, high 8 film. And I think it was their anniversary. It was their anniversary. I said, I'll go around and film stuff. And I actually got the film processed, I remember probably a year later. And that film now is transferred to video, and I can see, I actually have that footage still somewhere at home. And what I remember is anything inside was super dark. You just could not get enough light into the camera. And the outside stuff looked really cool. And I actually did some on-screen like special effects with my brother too, where he had a cup. He snapped his fingers and then a cup appeared. And then he drank the cup and then he snapped his fingers and the cup disappeared. And that was my first time, one of my first times ever messing around with media like that. And so I don't even want to say how many years it is because, well, let's just say it was in the 1980s, so.
He didn't have a video production class in high school, so I asked him where he got his experience from.
Well, I went to college, so I did 4 years at University of Minnesota Duluth. So I have a BA in communications, a minor in journalism and political science. But the hands-on stuff, some of it happened at school with, like I said, with the TV station, and that same TV station was looking for an intern. And so I looked it up when I was junior or senior. I'm like, I'm doing this, man. I want to get inside there. And it was with promotions. So it wasn't even like production, it was promotions. But I just wanted to get into the TV station. And so like one of my jobs was to be the Cookie Monster during Sweeps Week. Yeah. So like, you know how they do like, they're trying to raise money during their fundraiser week. And they'll show you like Clifford the Big Red Dog, and then they'll come back to a local station saying, donate to this. And so I was dressed up as Cookie Monster. I was sweating in this big blue suit, sitting there waving and it was only like a 4-minute break, right? They come on for 4 minutes. They have the telephone numbers up. Please call. You know, we'll take Visa, MasterCard. And here I'm like sweating. I'm like, is this really what I want to do? But in the same token, I was able to cut what's called voiceovers for some of the promos. They call them VOCAs. And they let me see some of the production gear. And it was like a real live broadcast TV station. And so I was like, any way I can get in, that's what I encourage you. If you have an interest in this, find whatever way you can get your foot in the door. And I did that, and it was a lot of fun.
Many students during the end of their high school years are undecided on what they want to do as a career, but for Mr. Mathis, it was clear.
NFL fam, just huge, and that was, in our family, it was faith, family, football. You know what I mean? Family, faith, football, in that order, because family, and then we go to church, and then after church, it was NFL Today on CBS, and so I was so excited. It was cool to see something live happening, and in the old days, the Vikings played outside at Metropolitan Stadium, and they showed all the Minnesotans all bundled up in their snowmobile suits and their gloves and their choppers, and all these LA and New York types would come over and go, I can't believe people live here, you know? And so I loved the idea of seeing camera shots live, seeing sports live, and I knew I'd be in something like that. I mean, I played sports as a kid, but I never, like when I got to high school age, I didn't get very big, you know? And so I'm like, but I still want to participate somehow. I still want to be involved. Like, I'm not going to be a pro football player. I'm probably not going to be a pro golfer. I like that. But I could do this. I'm smart enough to handle this stuff. And it came down to kind of what we said earlier. It's like getting a camera and filming something and figuring out how to make a story.
Through the years, I bet he had a favorite sport to record.
I love wrestling. I think wrestling's so much fun because we are really close to the action. I mean, and it's intense. I mean, it's something else. It's really intense. Wrestling's my favorite. I'd say hockey second. We haven't had a chance to do it lately because we have logistical issues with getting to Schmitz Mackey and, getting our gear in and out. But Yeah, basketball's good too. I mean, anything where you're close and you really can feel the action. You know, my favorite probably of all times is pro football. Pro football, working for the Vikings has been a dream, and it's a lot of fun, and they treat us well, and they're my team. So of course I have a rooting interest, and part of our job as the in-house crew there is to give our team an advantage any way we can. So if the other team messes up or has a fumble and I see it, I'm going to replay it to make sure we get that challenge and win that challenge. And it's happened more than a few times.
Reporting for TSEN Live, this is Hassan Taylor Ortega.
All right, see ya. Have a good day.
Ethan Slifko is a point guard for the 10th grade basketball team. The hours of work that each player puts in on the basketball team is a huge time commitment. This week, Luis sat down with Ethan to find out more about the 10th grade basketball team.
This is Luis Hernandez. I got to interview Ethan Slifko. He is a sophomore point guard for the Farmington 10-8 team and averages 7 points per game, 3 rebounds, and 5 assists. Even though he's only a sophomore, he has been playing basketball for a long time.
I was around the age of 5 or 6 years old in kindergarten, and I got into it because my mom played basketball throughout high school, and we used to play outside all the time and just shoot around, so I got really interested in it, and she signed me up.
Ethan's a multi-sport athlete, and with that, he's had a few injuries.
I play baseball. I'm a catcher, shortstop. I basically play any position, but my main position is catcher. I love baseball. It's honestly my favorite sport. I like it a little more than basketball. And then I play football, but I've been injured the past couple of years before the season started. I broke my ankle this summer at a basketball tournament and broke my thumb the year before, so I've had to sit out.
Ethan then explains the hardest position in basketball.
I'd say point guard, because you have to take control of the game and you have responsibility for the rest of your teammates. And if they make a mistake, it usually falls back on you because you're the leader on the court.
Ethan tells us his highest points scored in a game.
I scored 27 points in my 8th grade year at the Farmington basketball tournament in the championship game against East Ridge.
Ethan talks about his game winner in 8th grade.
I hit a game winner in the 4th grade state semifinal with 3 seconds left in overtime to send us to the state championship against Forest Lake, where we ended up winning the state championship.
Ethan talks about how much he practices for per week.
We practice about 2 hours a day, plus another 45 minutes of lifting, so that's like 10 hours a week of practice, or maybe 6 hours a week of practice. We have 2 games, and I usually shoot around by myself sometimes and lift by myself, so that's another couple hours added.
Ethan tells us he's best at 3.
I'd say shooting from the three-point line is my best ability in basketball.
Tanner talks about how good of a teammate Ethan is.
You know, playing with Ethan, it's really it's super fun because he's one of my closest friends, you know, and he's a good teammate. He runs the offense really well. He's one of my good buddies, so playing with him is sort of like, we kind of click together. Ethan, I have to say he's really good at running our offense. He runs the offense very well, does his part and everything. He's good at shooting. He can shoot the ball when he needs to. But yeah, he runs the offense really good, and he's really good at defense. He locks most kids up.
Tanner talks more about Ethan.
I know he's just one of my good buddies, and it's really fun to play with him. And we've been playing together for the last couple of years, so I just want to see where it goes.
Jake played with Ethan for 1 year and talks about how good Ethan was.
Ethan's a really good point guard. He always finds some way to make somebody open, and he has really good ball handling. Yeah, one time he had a clutch three-pointer against East Ridge to send us to the championship game.
Jake talks more about Ethan.
Yeah, he was really good. I remember one time he broke somebody's ankles, and they called it a carry. But then the next play, he broke their ankles again and made a three-pointer.
This is Luis Hernandez reporting for TSEN. Thank you for watching.
We'd like to thank you for joining us here today for our trimester highlights on Tiger Sports and Entertainment Network.
A huge thank you to our technical engineer and executive producer, Mr. Mathis, for organizing all of our live events this trimester and making sure everything was ready to go at each event.
Thank you to our teacher, Mr. Tauchi, for his help and guidance with our class, our projects, and helping us write, edit, and produce this show.
Thank you to our activities and athletic director, Mr. Keith Badger, and his administrative assistants, Sue Hurchin and Karen Donnelly.
For all of us here at TSEN, thanks for watching.
You are watching